Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It's Wednesday, the 20th. Got our coffee this morning. Just a cranking, huh? So I thought I'd talk a little bit about, you know, what I call economic freedom. And to each of us, it's going to mean something a little bit different in how we approach it. But in the end, we all want it. So stay tuned. All right, so what is economic freedom? Economic freedom is when pretty much everything you've got is paid for, and you're able to put money aside, and you're able to enjoy a little bit of the proceeds from that, doing things that you enjoy doing. Now, I'm not saying that, because I've always said this, even with my kids, is find something that you enjoy doing and it's not a job. So it's not a, you know, 8 to 10 hour a day grudge trying to go and do the stuff. And for many of us, it's more like a 14 to 16 hour day. But how do we achieve economic freedom? And how is it viewed by, how do we view from different people, one person to the next, of what economic freedom really is? Now, to some, economic freedom is when they have a lot of money in the bank and everything they have is paid for. That's true economic freedom. You're still not totally free because you still have to buy stuff, right? And as we found in inflation, your dollar's worth less now than it was before. But you're in a better place to weather the storm. For someone that is younger, economic freedom may be to them that they're running their own business and doing what they enjoy doing, and it's paying the bills. Because when you're younger, your mortgage is usually a 20-30 year, right? Average. Unless you rent or lease. When it comes to owning a business, if you bought a business from somebody else that's already in the business, a lot of the stuff is in place. But in order for you to buy that, you're either buying it on time, paying the money directly to the owner, prior owner, through a land contract system, or you've gone to the bank, or you've dipped into your personal finances, your savings, or sold some things to get it. Now, when I say it's different between one individual to the next, to the next, to the next, I can remember growing up and raising 2 kids, working 3 jobs. I had a friend named Jack. And Jack worked 1 job. And he was always fishing all the time, something he loved to do. And I used to get envious of Jack. So finally I caught up with him. And because I worked with him for a while, I said, Jack, how can you afford to only work 1 job? Because he had 1 child, but he was his mother had moved in with them. A strong Italian family. He worked the 1 job. But what he told me He said it's all in what you feel you need. He said, in your case, Eric, you have 2 vehicles in your yard. Both of them are pretty close to being new, within 3 or 4 years old. My truck is almost 15 years old, and I haven't paid a penny other than just maintenance for years. He said it's all about how you decide you want to live. If you want the extras, then you're going to have to pay the piper. If you're content and you would rather go fishing all day than work at 2 other jobs on top of your primary job, what can I tell you? And the guy loved his beer too. But he lived a simple life. He didn't have to have the best of everything. And I know what some of you are going to say, well, I don't have the best of everything. Well, neither did I at that time. At least that's what I thought. But in retrospect, for my age, I had accomplished a lot. And I had gained a lot in assets that were paid for. But I kept wanting more and more. That drive was always there. It was saying, I can't be content. I can't stay idle. What am I going to do now? Because I was used to being on the go. But then I would complain bitterly to myself about not having time to go fish, not having time with the kids, not having time. It was not a win-win. And that goes for business owners or employees. How much crap do you need until you're content? And this is a personal level, because being content means you're happy where you're at, you're happy with who you're with, you're happy with the family you've created, with you and your wife or your husband. And you've figured out how to value what you have, become content that it's good enough. You don't need a brand spanking new, pretty brand new car or truck coming off the lot, when a good used one is just as good. It doesn't come with a warranty, but life doesn't come with a warranty. See, where Jack had a little 2-story house, and there was him and his wife and son. He was the same age as my son, and his mom living there. They had a little hobby farm. I think it was right around, still do, around 90 to 100 acres. And he is probably 12 years my elder. And he had come up from New Jersey. He worked hard as a pipe layer with the union. And he saved his money up and had a good nest egg, and they decided to move up this way to get away from the city life to raise their child. And he didn't have big expenses. He still had the truck they moved up in. He bought the hobby farm with the money he had made with the union. Free and clear, because the guy worked all the time when he was down there, when he was single, and then when he met his wife. But when he got up here, he had his truck, he had the house, he had his little boat, a little tractor, and he was enjoying life. At the same time, I had the farm. I had 70 head of milkers, I had probably another 40, 50 head of young stock. I had boats. I had four-wheelers. I had. And I still wasn't content, but he was. That's what I mean about economic freedom. Is if you can become content, and I'm not saying content of not paying your bills. I'm saying you need to find a level of contentment of where, and this is where most type A personalities, they start their businesses or create businesses, end up being, is they're never content. That's why they continue to grow. But at what if you're going to take this, you're going to have to give somewhere else, right? You're going to miss out on a lot of stuff if you're not content. And I'm not saying being not content with your life the way it is a bad thing. If it's not the way you want it to be, change it. But we're talking about economic, where you need to be happy. How much money do you need? How much property do you need? Because it's one of those things that if you want more crapola, that means you're going to have to work more jobs, more hours, do less with other stuff. Now we talk about people, and I was one of them when I was younger as well, is you can live paycheck to paycheck. Except what I did with my paycheck was I would invest into something else, whether it be a cow, tractor, something tangible. And that's what I did even with the business, with the shop when I first started up. I did it on a shoestring. I didn't have a big budget. I didn't have, fancy buildings or lifts, or I had none of it. But I had the drive, the know-how, and I had realized by then, because I was in my 30s, late 30s, that you can't be good at everything. So the key to that is you hire people that are good at stuff that you're not good at. And that's mechanical skills. I worked on my own tractors and stuff, but Claude helped me. And that was the key, the winning key, is hiring people that can pick up the slack where you're not that great. And you really don't have that much time to try to become that great. And in Claude's case, he spent all his life as being a mechanic from a kid in a junkyard. And the guy was phenomenal when it comes to working on stuff. I didn't grow up in a junkyard. I worked on my own skidoos, my old cars, this and that, but nothing serious. So the level of contentment and the economic rewards of freedom, economic freedom, is where do you need to be to feel content, comfortable? Because some people never feel comfortable. They never find that. While other people like Jack figured that out early on. And so I busted my hump, in my teens, in my 20s, into my 30s. And now I'm going to live with the rewards. A nice house in the country to raise my son and family. Working a regular job and spending most of my time drinking beer and fishing in the summer months. So on that note, I'm going to start finishing it up. But that's something you really need to take a look at, you as an individual. If you're starting a business, as Amos type, with the kid and the plumber with a $350,000 car. Now, you can take two different plumbers. And this plumber here, he's got his tools, he's got a building that he maybe started out of his garage, like a lot of small engine repair mechanics do. And he built his business one step at a time. And he grew as the business grew. And then you got this other plumber that's only got like 2 years an associate's degree in plumbing at some local college. And he went out and he bought this fancy-wincy building and all these trucks with decals on the sides of them and hired 3 or 4 guys. Who's more content? Who's the smarter one? For me, it's the old guy. He didn't get himself heavily into debt, and he can step away at any time. The kid, unless he files bankruptcy, is screwed. He is married to that job and those employees and the debt. And he's going to be a lot higher to hire than the old guy. All right, guys, just something to think about. What do you think? What's your level of content, huh? Don't wait until you're 62 to figure that out. All right.